To escape from Colditz now would take a leap of imagination.
It was winter, snow was falling. December 1943 we're now talking about. This window looked out over Colditz town. The wind was blowing on the face of this window. But what appealed to me was the fact the snowflakes weren't coming down, they were actually just drifting up and over the top. So we could watch the force of the wind at work on them, and what a smooth flow it was for you just to sort of, like going swimming, launch yourself into this rising air and float gently down to the river. That was the thought. That was Eureka.
Bill's idea was to build a glider and launch it from the top of the castle. The roof stood 300 feet above the ground. If a runway of tables could be placed along the 40-foot ridge, then by using ropes, pulleys, and a counterweight, they could catapult themselves over the ramparts and glide silently over the sleeping inhabitants of Colditz town. A desperate plan, but there hadn't been a home run in over a year. So the idea was approved by Dick Howe, head of the escape committee. Bill Goldfinch was asked to provide a drawing.
It was a matter of applying what knowledge one had to say, well, how big should the wing be? How much is it going to weigh? How strong has it got to be? We worked all these things out on paper.
The design developed to carry 2 escapees. But if they continued making the parts in their quarters, it couldn't be kept a secret for long. The glider would need a permanent workspace, high up in one of the attics. Back then, the spiral staircase only gained them access to the lower attic. From here, they had to go up through the ceiling.
And the trapdoor was, I would say, about
there?
There.
Once they were hidden behind their false wall, production could begin in earnest. Their light came from fat lamps, a pajama cord wick, and a can of lard. Homemade tools cut and shaped the wood, which was stuck together with glue bribed from the German guards.
I thought the workshop was absolutely brilliant. Making ribs for the wings or for the tailplanes, which involved shaping the wood, steaming it, bending it, and then pinning it and gluing it, was an ongoing situation.
While the glider kept many hands busy, the encouraging news of the war could be followed on a secret radio, smuggled into the camp.
British and Canadian troops of the 8th Army have landed in southern Italy. At 4:30 this Friday morning, on the 4th anniversary of the beginning of the war,
But progress outside still offered no hope of immediate release. Many of the inmates of Colditz prison were now spending their 4th year in captivity. Throughout 1944, the glider was the only major escape plan. Bedboards provided excellent timber, but cotton gingham covers the skeletal frame, and to make it aerodynamic it has to be stiffened or doped. In Colditz they concocted a unique recipe from their meagre rations to make the starch.
When we doped the fabric, that was quite an exercise up here, wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, we used millet, which we'd been given by the Germans to eat. And we found if we ground it up with a sort of mortar and pestle device, we could boil it up afterwards and use it as a dope on the blue and white check. But it's very, very interesting to see how small the workshop was now.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, the tailplane stood about this high, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
the rudder, and
And towards the end, of course, when we'd got all the fabric on the damn thing, you had to be pretty careful where you stepped.
yeah.
Because there wasn't a hell of a lot of room, as you can see.
As it turned out, the glider was never launched. Nobody knows whether it would have flown, but work was halted because of events outside of the castle.
There were orders from London direct, and the war was coming, and it's no use losing more people unnecessarily.
There were no more escape attempts from Colditz. This is the only known photograph of what was christened the Colditz cock, taken that day by an unknown GI.
Now, none of those things had been fitted before. They hadn't been able to. So it shows how accurate our work was.